Well, I never actually do create a video about the channeling processes here. But as you notice, more videos are now in brighter time. It means like maybe I'm getting up earlier. But I never do create videos about the channelers in Latvia. But I would like to share some experiences about that. And as maybe most of the time right now, most of the parts I'm doing not the channeling Enrico itself, but more about teaching others to do channeling, teaching others to become channelers. And my opinion, what is a channeling? It's basically you are telepathical. You're saying you become telepathical, and in my case means more connected with the higher self, more connected with your soul, as it is with all your aspects. And how to explain it a little bit more, it also involves in communicating with the dead people who are passed over, although they never say we are dead. But well, they say, yeah, from your point of view we have passed on, we're dead actually, but they don't feel like they are dead. But so I want to share experiences, a couple of lately which I had, like one girl, she's like always doubting herself, and blah blah blah, and she's like, she enters the channeling and she wants to get like information that gives her like clarity that okay, this is not my imagination, this is something more. And she was like doing, one of her friends got sick, and she's like, okay, something like a tough illness or something that the doctors do not know. They want to take analysts, and the doctors do not know what's with her. And she like, okay, I want to find out what's with her friend. And she, the woman who channels, she's like, okay, I want to find out. She enters a channeling state when she's home alone, and calls an entity, and the being comes up. Yep, he's an well, he mentioned he doesn't have a problem with his I don't know how the, not liver, but where the food runs in the organs, the long organs, no, the piping system. He doesn't have a problem with the piping system. He has a problem with the artery, with the vein system, and there's like a thromb. I don't know how it's in English in the perfect technical description, and he has problems with that. And she's like, she wrote down all the information from the channeling, what he sees, what she sees, where she sees it, and just gave it to the friend and said, okay, take this and gave it to your doctor and let them think over. And she said, and she waits the results, and then she continued a little bit more. She's like, okay, she's like, I'm still not sure. She called out one of her past relatives who died recently, or maybe a year ago or something. But she didn't know that person very much. She's like, she knew that she passed away, and then she channeled with her, talked with her, and she gave messages, strict messages for every relative she wanted to give, like, tell this to my daughters and tell this to your mother, for example. And she's like, okay, she called those persons, those girls, and she's like, okay, I want to, in my dream your mother came or something. And she didn't tell, she channeled, and she told me about this, and I just wanted to share this. And those persons were like, how did you know? Oh, I was like, wow, and everything. And she said, but I'm still worried about this, whether it's true or not, and something like this. I said, don't worry, until you find out all the evidence you need, you will not worry about this anymore. And yeah, it's like getting more and more interesting. And another story, well, she gave me more detailed description, but the point was that she receives all the correct information from that channeling state, and she just passes it over, and she's like surprised, how could this be true, and so on. And also she said that she came to this seminar and she asked whether there will be that person who always is in that seminar, and another woman. And she called entities and tell whether will she be, and the entity said no, she will not be. And her mind was like, yeah, how is this true? She always is. How can she not be? And so on. But she will compare the information by just coming to the seminar and see whether that person is or not. And the person wasn't. And she's like, well, okay, she's still worried. Maybe this is my imagination, something. But that's nothing to worry about. I said to her, really, at the beginning, I did the same. Don't worry, until you find out that you don't have to worry about anything. But the point of this, like when channeling like relatives, past relatives, and information about the physical, where you can see and compare. But when it comes to non-physical, like entities from other worlds, it gets to like a point that they don't actually know what you are talking about also, and they are like, they want to share their information, their knowledge about those things. How do we see them? How do you know them? For example, like Enrico, he was like, what do you worry about? But the idea is that from other plane dimension beings, it's more of understanding what is he wanting to say, not about comparing. It's about understanding, because many of those things what they share, I only understood maybe a year later or so later, and said, wow, but he was then telling me this and I didn't know that, and so on and so on. So another story is about the spiritual connection with the higher self, which I told in the beginning. This is like my segment, maybe channeling segment. It's that people get more and more closer to their consciousness, and then the woman, which came from maybe from the beginning to the channeling seminars, and she was sad and she was worried about anything. Husband doesn't love me, and so on and so on. But now she's like enlightened being. She's like so excited, and you always feel so pleasurable standing next to her. It's like completely opposite person. But the thing that she called me today, she said that she did channeling for other of her friends, like she channeled for her, and although lots of information already has been given before, and the feelings before, but she felt it even more energizing, even more overwhelming. The information of she saw how the other plane beings are helping Earth, how there is only there is only the higher mind, the higher self, which is absolutely loving in all being of itself, and absolutely. And he said that just tears and tears and tears and coming out. It's like she's constantly crying many times, and she's like, well, I had the message. Maybe I can just read it to you and translate it to you. Just a moment, so that I don't mess it up, because I sometimes just forget. Blah blah blah. That those higher beings are standing all over the planet Earth from above, and those who feel cold, those who feel sad, they are here to warm them, and by warming them they start to awaken. That's why those beings are here to help us in awakening, in